Today, we're looking at more previews from War Zone Nachmund. The Eldar are getting some brand new Dark Reapers, and a Demon Prince has arrived in Total War Warhammer 3, and it has me incredibly hyped. This and more in this week's Hobby News. I'm Angela, and you're watching Hobby Night. Let's get to it.
I was mortal once. A prince then. A prince now. The gods themselves court me to bear their mark. I have time to revel in this coming slaughter. No longer! I am the God Slayer!
Let's go ahead and talk first about my favorite news this week, and that is the fact that Demon Princes are coming to Total War Warhammer 3, and they are fully customizable. As you earn favor from the Dark Lords, you gain new equipment and abilities which you can then apply to your model, which actually changes his appearance. You can end up having a little bit of Nurgle flavor there, you can have a little bit of Slanesh flavor there, you want to throw a little bit of corn in there, you can mix and match as to your heart's content, and it just looks so cool. I have been watching Lionheart play on YouTube a little bit, and the campaign looks pretty awesome. Also, I love the fact that this Demon Prince has a fully fleshed out campaign that actually seems to tie directly to the Advisor, which is a character in these games that I am weirdly invested in, and I need to know more because this is a prequel to the previous two games. The Advisor is a lot younger in these games, he hasn't gone blind yet, and I'm really curious if this Demon Prince campaign ends up leading to maybe why he's blind, or at least just furthering that character along. So between just having a brand new Legendary Lord that has some super customizable options in it, plus furthering a character that I really like in the franchise, I am all about this new game that's coming out soon. I cannot wait to get my hands on it.
Fight, run, hide. It matters not. We are death, and death is inevitable.
The Eldar continue to get new miniatures previewed, and this time we're taking a look at some Aspect Warriors, specifically the Dark Reapers, and oh boy, I think I said Dark Reapers. I meant Dark Reapers. They look amazing and not derp at all. I love the color scheme that they used on these preview models. I especially like the hooded, helmeted look, but if you are interested in this kit, and specifically if you run Ynnari, you have an option to have an unhelmeted version of your Dark Reapers now, which I believe is brand new to the kits. That's a pretty exciting thing, and now that we've seen these Dark Reapers, I'm really hoping that means we get the rest of the Aspect Warriors. I really want to see the Striking Scorpions and some of the other Aspect Warriors that are still in resin actually turned into plastic kits as well. It's that time of the video where I interrupt to tell you about my Patreon. And to let you know that we just added a Discord server, which all tiers get access to. So if you're wanting a way to chat with me, share with me your projects, or just tell me what board games you're playing, definitely make sure to check the link below and check out my Patreon. Did you miss out on Kill Team Octarius earlier this past year? Well, do not worry, because there's a brand new starter set that's got you covered if you really wanted to get your hands on those Kreig and Kommando models. We have a brand new set that's coming out. It's going to have, like I said, the exact same models that you got in that first starter set with Octarius, minus some of the bigger terrain pieces. Now, you are still getting a little bit of scatter, a couple of walls, both on the Imperial and the Ork side, but you're not getting some of the bigger bunkers, but it does come with everything else you need to get started playing Kill Team.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Chaos Cultist, and it is my most esteemed privilege and ultimate pleasure to serve as the herald to the Queen of Contrast, to the Primarch of Purple, to that bolter bitch, Angela of Hobby Night. And Angela would like me to inform you all that she will be dominating this year's Royal Jamble. Wrestletalk? No rolls barred. Not even that little goody two-shoes Sullivan Bo Brown has any chance of stopping her Dark Crusade.
That's right. That bolter bitch is going to win the Royal Jamble, and I am coming for that belt, Luke or Pete. It really doesn't matter which of you has it, because it's coming to me. You're gonna have to ship it all the way to California, and I can't wait to get my hands on that shiny, shiny gold. Now, if you want to watch along and see if I actually do win the Royal Jamble, make sure to tune in to the Wrestletalk podcast this Saturday to follow along. It's time now to move into War Zone Nachmund, because there's a lot of changes happening and we need to talk about them all. But first, I want to talk about some new terrain that's coming with this new preview and the season of 1 of Warhammer, as they are calling it, because it comes with some pretty cool stuff. We're getting a new battle zone called Battlezone Fronteris, which includes a bunker, a landing pad, a Vox antenna, and an auspex shrine. Those two last things, the auspex shrine and the Vox antenna, are the two coolest pieces of this terrain to me. Otherwise, it's still just a bunch of Imperial terrain, which we've seen a ton of over the years, and I really do wish they'd give us some Xeno ones. Now, one of the things that is cool about this terrain is it is getting some new Crusade agendas that are tied into one of the books that is releasing with War Zone Nachmund, specifically, I believe, the Crusade book. Now, I really wish Games Workshop would do something that would be very consumer friendly, in my opinion, by adding cards that would have all these Crusade agendas into the box set that actually comes with the terrain. That way, if people doesn't necessarily want to pick up that book, but still wanted to use those agendas, they potentially could, and be one less thing for people to buy. I also just personally really like having quick reference cards to be able to reference all the various things that my terrain or objectives or any of that kind of stuff does. So having more cards is always cool to me, and I think it'd be a fun little add-on. Let's go ahead and talk about that Grand Tournament pack, because there are a lot of changes coming to the competitive scene because of this new book. First of all, missions themselves have changed. No longer will they include a secondary objective, they will simply have 2 primary objectives that have been a bit fluffed out and a little bit more substantial feeling as people are playing through them. Secondary objectives have also been revamped, and we're getting some old ones looked at in this book. We're also getting some new ones for the factions that don't already have codexes already out, which is great to see in this book. But there are some changes to how you're choosing them. Now you must choose 3 secondary objectives, but 2 of them have to come from this new book. The other one, the third one, could potentially come from your codex or codex supplement if you so wanted to, but they didn't really mention anything about any of these secondary objectives coming from the main rule book. That makes me think that they're just going to combine them all into this core book, and so it's one less thing for us to have to carry around potentially. Now, the biggest change that is coming to the competitive scene is how list building is happening, because no longer can you actually mix and match your chapters, orders, or clans. Basically, any of the sub-faction keywords, you have to choose one, and that is what your army is getting. This is going to, I think, really impact players like Imperial Guard, who maybe like to run Catachan and Cadians together, anybody who's running Sisters lists that like to compare or combine the Order of the Bloody Rose with another order, and anybody who who runs orcs, who likes to mix and match their clans, is going to feel really hit hard by this, because I know that happens a lot. I understand why they're doing this. The whole objective of why this change has happened is to make it so that the games don't take as long, you're not having to reference as many rulebooks as you're playing through your grand tournaments and all of this competitive stuff, but it really does limit what people can do. Now, if you are a non-competitive player and you have no intention of going to an official GW tournament, none of this matters to you. You can still keep mixing and matching to your heart's content as much as you absolutely want to. But if you're a competitive player, this is something that you'll definitely want to keep in mind. Next up, let's talk about points changes, because there are a lot coming. This always happens whenever we get a brand new chapter approved, but there are some spicy things happening. In particular, vehicles across the board seem to be getting some major adjustments. I in particular liked seeing that the Leman Russ, the Plague Burst Crawler, both the Necron, Doom Scythe and Night Scythe, and all Orc wagons have come down in points, which is really cool to see. Necrons in general are actually getting a lot of points drops. All of the destroyers have gotten points drops. I think they're all down by 5 points, which is fantastic to see. I think even some of the bigger tanks like the Monolith and those kinds of models are also got some major points drops. So between that and the new keyword option that they got, where you can actually have your characters affect a lot more of your units, I think the Necrons are feeling in a lot more of a healthy spot in the game. Plus, well, I mean, you know, somebody got an update, therefore Space Marines, of course, had to get some updates too, but at least it's focusing on some of my favorite chapters. The Blood Angels in particular are seeing some points drops, the Dark Angels are as well, and even the Space Wolves. In particular, Mephiston has gone down in price, which is cool, because maybe that will mean we'll see some of that really cool new Mephiston models actually out on the board a little bit more, because I don't think he actually gets used very often. Now, one of the other things that's happened is some things have gotten some price increases. In particular, the Primaris Chaplain has gone up, the one that's on the bike, as well as the Contemptor Dreadnought, I believe, has gone up in price as well, and the Nemesis Dread Knight, which I thought was a little bit of a weird choice because I feel like Great Knights still aren't in a super great place competitive-wise, so the fact that their models are getting some points up, like increases, is a bit weird to me. But the big change, and the one that I really want to talk about overall, is the fact that Custodes are seeing some points changes already, and they just got their new codex. Now, they did unfortunately have their codex delayed. It was originally supposed to release, I believe, at the end of last year, either in November or December, but because of COVID and shipping problems and everything, it got pushed back and only recently released, ending up on top of this new points update with the chapter approved. GW has since gone ahead and put out a free PDF online for the Custodes players so that they can access those points changes for free, meaning realistically they may not have to buy the new book and actually pay for that, but it's still a little bit of a shame that this happened and that they're overlapping so closely, especially when I still feel like not many people have realistically played 9th edition enough to really garner some of these major changes that are happening. But that is what it is, and we've got a lot of point changes coming our way. All right, that has been it for this week in hobby news. I am still just reveling over the fact that I can customize my Demon Prince in Total War Warhammer 3 when it comes out, but I also want to make sure that you guys go and watch the Wrestletalk podcast, where I will win the Royal Jamble and come for that belt. I can't wait. I have been Angela. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons for supporting us and making sure that content like this can continue to happen. You guys are awesome. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.